and let's talk about 60 Minutes for a second here too, because clearly the long arm of Bari Weiss was a part of those long form interviews that Tony did. Clearly, I mean, she set up Pete Hegseth. She probably set up Tom Homan. Now she's reaching into 60 Minutes. We all know about the Sharon Alfonsi piece that she scotched right before Christmas about the Venezuelan prisoners in El Salvador, the Seacot prison. And now she's looking very strongly at a piece that Anderson Cooper is working on that has to do with allowing South Africans to come to America and, you know, some kind of anyway, that piece has not reached CBS standards yet, but she's already apparently taken a very strong editorial position on it with all kinds of notes and sent. This is very unheard of because 60 Minutes, as we all know, has always had its, a lot of independence. It's basically virtually reported to itself. And I wrote about this for your newsletter, your Substack, Scott, about
Sure.
when Bill Owens quit 60 Minutes, he conceded a really critical editorial spot, and I understand his frustration, but he left 60 Minutes extremely vulnerable by doing so.
Well, what was he going to do if he had stayed? I mean,
Right.
Barry Weiss
Sure.
may lack for qualifications, but she certainly doesn't lack for self-confidence, I have to say. I mean, you've got this middling opinion journalist who's never worked in hard news, never worked in television, thinks nothing about reaching in and killing a story that 60 Minutes had in the can and ready to go. I mean, maybe that wasn't a perfect piece, but why don't you hold your fire for the next one when you have time to insert yourself into the process at the proper moment instead of just acting like the censor in chief at the last moment? I don't know that Bill Owens was going to be able to stand up to
He
any
would
of
have
this.
said what you just said. He would have said just what you just said, and he should have stuck around and said it.
Okay, okay. Let himself be fired. I mean, maybe that would have been better.
That's what thought.
Right.
Yeah,
Stand up for what you believe and go out that way as opposed to just kind of doing the resignation, protest thing, which doesn't always last. It doesn't makes a little wave and then goes away. I think
yeah.
was your point. And it's certainly she's I mean I can see the point of like I mean and obviously she's interfering with meddling around with the culture of 60 Minutes, jumping in with editorial stuff. I mean you could justify all that if it was actually okay, well, here's some I've seen this, maybe you could add this or that, and if they were but it seems like is this just a smoke screen to kill these stories or
Yes.
just not run them? And that's the concern. Like everybody, I mean, there's some level of editing even if it's not part of the culture that you could justify, and but not if it's just just the runaround and the Venezuela piece is already out there now, so it's ridiculous. I mean, whatever changes they had to make, if the Trump administration was going to go on camera, any of the officials were, you still do the piece. I mean, they said in the past, whatever, throw in whatever you think you need to, if you think there's some other voice that needs to be there, but don't
Yeah.
just not run it.
Yeah. I
And
mean, and the Trump administration declined anyway to participate. So
right, they
they
weren't
had
going
to
to have
go.
anybody, and so that can't be a decision. You can't say, well, if they're not going to cooperate, we're not going to do the piece. Well, you wouldn't do a lot of stories, then, right? I mean, you,
True.
you
And
know,
they essentially had a clip of Catherine Levitt saying exactly what you would expect the Trump administration to say in response to that
Exactly.
piece, and they included it in the piece
Yeah.
because the Trump administration wouldn't
sure.
cooperate. They bent over backwards